This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Welcome back to the X-Zone, everyone. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, on the Talkstar Radio Network, the Mutual Broadcast Network, X-Zone Broadcast Network across Europe and Asia on Radio X and Euro Radio TV, and of course on iHeartRadio. If you'd like to send me an email, xzone at xzoneradiotv.com. If you'd like to check out our radio show website, it's xzoneradiotv.com. And for all the programming available to you, 7/24/365 on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. My guest this hour is Prema Lee Gurreri. She is committed to creating a world where everyone is empowered to live on purpose in what is, in a way that is aligned with their divine gifts and their birthright of true prosperity. Prema is a leading Vedic astrologer, business consultant, energy practitioner, and spiritual coach, and with more than 25 years of experience and the author of Your Sacred Wealth Code, Unlock Your Soul Blueprint for Purpose and Prosperity. She empowers leaders, entrepreneurs, visionaries, and change agents to take inspired action and unlock their sacred wealth. And using her intuitive approach to business building and her patterned, her patented Soulutionary technology, Prema's clients manifest wealth and create meaningful lives by doing what they are meant to do. To learn more about Prema, visit www.sacredwealthcode.com. And Prema, welcome to the X-Zone.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
Well, we're super to have you with us. Tell us a little bit about how you transitioned into Vedic astrology and all the wonderful things that you do.
Yeah, I've just always been on this spiritual journey, and I believe that, when you just follow that impulse within, that you give the divine an opportunity to kick your feet in the right direction. Mm-hmm. And I was continually being put on this path of a bridge between spirituality and practicality, because I really like to help people and be able to manifest what they want to and really get in touch with their purpose and have the world make sense to a certain degree.
Yeah.
So I was attracted to yoga and spirituality really young. And then I went to get a Vedic, I was always studied astrology, but I went to get a Vedic astrology reading. And who's now and still my astrology mentor, he said to me, you're supposed to be doing this. And it's you have to have a certain, I want to say, wiring to be in this tradition. Like we all have, the wiring to use our gifts and do what we do. And so I was like, I got a lot to do. and then he, the next time I saw him, he said, no, really. And he mentors and teaches this science and art, because that's what it is. And I picked it up and I couldn't put it down. I just devoured it, because being a natural intuitive and also with one foot, firmly in the practical world, it just really has given me so many accurate and lenses to evaluate things through and to allow my intuition to come in deeper around. And I've been able to be of really great service, which is what makes my heart sing.
And rightfully so. So Vedic astrology, how old is it and what's its origin?
Yeah, Vedic astrology it comes from the Vedas, the very old, like 6,000-year-old spiritual texts. And it's one of the limbs of the Vedas. It's one of the branches of the Vedas. So I like to describe it this way, that Ayurveda is very popular now, and Deepak Chopra, which most people know,
Sure.
Brought Ayurveda to the West. Now, Ayurveda translates into the science of life. Now, Jyotish is the Sanskrit word for Vedic astrology, which is another limb of the Vedas, and it translates to the science of light. So it is a way of keeping time, of reading light energy, and so it's a live tradition that has been around for over 6,000 years, used everything from understanding the weather patterns to, who's supposed to marry who, to what are you supposed to do in this world. And it to me, it's just a fascinating study.
It certainly sounds it. Please stand by. You and I have got to take a commercial break. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. Exonation, my guest this hour is Prema Lee Gurreri, and we're going to be talking about her Sacred Wealth Code, and her website is www.sacredwealthcode.com. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. If you'd like to send me an email, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, our website, xzoneradiotv.com, and for all the information on the X Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
This is the X Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
Hello, I'm Pete Marsh. With my daughter Justina, we will be presenting the new radio show, Too Good to Be True. If something seems too good to be true, it usually is. But with the help of Justina's amazing gifts, we're going to gain insight into questions that don't yet have complete answers. Have you wondered who built Stonehenge and for what reason? Why are crop circles found in the same region as Stonehenge and elsewhere? Are crop circles a hoax, or are they created with technologies that we have little knowledge of? Who built the pyramids in Egypt and also in other countries? How and why were they built? Was the Titanic switched with the Britannic as part of a gigantic insurance fraud, or for more insidious reasons? What caused the Tunguska event when trees were flattened over an 800 square mile area in Siberia? Will the new insights be too good to be true? Well, that will depend on what you are prepared to believe. Please join us as we start on this journey together. For more information on Too Good to Be True, visit www.xzbn.net.
Little children aren't the only ones afraid of the dark. Millions of soldiers return from war zones with PTSD, anger, frustration, fear, and loneliness, much of which surfaces during the darkness of the night. You have the chance to change the lives of these American heroes. Songs and Stories for Soldiers.us provides free MP3 players for these men and women. With a list of 3 million songs in 16 different styles, 100,000 audiobooks, and 30,000 old-time radio programs, every veteran can find something to soothe and comfort them at no cost. All our players contain an 8-hour audio program designed to help veterans fall asleep. With 1,500 plus vets now participating, it's our goal to deliver 10,000 audio players this year. Go to our website at songsandstoriesforsoldiers.us. Help us help a veteran make it through the night.
Prema Lee Gurreri is our special guest this hour. Her website is www.sacredwealthcode.com. And why do you think everyone should know their Sacred Wealth Code?
Well, when you know your Sacred Wealth Code, you are aligned with your purpose and with your prosperity. And that leads to a really deep sense of fulfillment. Mm-hmm. So, I just love to connect people with what it is that they truly want. Not what they think they want, but really, really what it is that they want. And within your Sacred Wealth Code are really your highest valued gifts and talents. Not just the things you're good at, the things that you are spectacular at that no one can do like you can do. And we don't always know what those are. So I love for people to really embrace the best of themselves because they're happier and they're more abundant, and then also they're of better service.
How would you describe the Sacred Wealth Code?
So the Sacred Wealth Code is literally the intersection of purpose and prosperity within your soul blueprint. So let me circle back real quick to Vedic astrology.
All right.
I look at Vedic astrology as being the chart, as being literally the blueprint of your soul. Now, there's lots of different traditions you can tap into the blueprint of your soul. I use Vedic astrology, and because it's amazing and it's really accurate. So within this, there is an actual intersection, so to speak. There's an actual joining of a configuration that we look for to help someone understand what their wealth is in the world. And wealth, by my definition, is everything you need to fulfill your purpose. And that just equates to money because that's our common currency of exchange.
Right.
But that's not all of it. It's the resources you need, the people, the knowledge. So at this intersection, which is it's called a Dana Yoga. It's a planetary combination within Vedic astrology. And that is where your Sacred Wealth Code is. Now, after reading that for many years, I started to really notice that this is where you find your highest value gifts. Again, what you'll be valued in the world for. So the Sacred Wealth Code was born out of this particular principle and my interpretation of it in my work with people. And the Sacred Wealth Code has a body of archetypes. I brought it down to a practical system and language so people have a way to tap into their soul blueprints intersection for purpose and prosperity, their true wealth.
Vedic astrology and business development It kind of sounds like an odd pairing. Why did you choose to approach your business and financial teachings in this way?
Well, because that's inherently, part of my gifts and my fascination and my study. And I've also been an entrepreneur for over 25 years. So again, this is just me following my, intuition, my guidance, my Vedic astrology, and the divine kicking my feet in the right direction. So people have come to me for purpose for many years. But then as I started to work with people around purpose, then most of those people started having businesses, and then entrepreneurs and leaders, visionaries started be the people who showed up. So started just to apply the same principles I had been using for myself over the last I started really working with people with business just about 10 years ago, right when the Sacred Wealth Code was birthed. So, and that just continues to evolve. And it's really about intuitively following your own guidance about working, what you're going to do in your business, your marketing, who's your clients, what's your product. Well, we got to get connected to your greatest gifts first. And then in that, we start to allow it to be unique to you instead of getting stuck in some marketing model or something you think is going to work in the marketplace. What is yours really truly to insert into, to give the marketplace?
But in today's society, is it possible that people overthink these variables instead of shooting from the hip?
You think? Yes. People do overthink a lot of this. Mm-hmm. And shooting from the hip for me means following your soul's instincts,
right.
And I think people do overthink it. And I think that a lot of people's circuits are so-called jammed because there's so much information coming at us. We have all this great, media and technology, which is fabulous, but so much is coming at us. It's hard to hear your own, instincts to be able to shoot from the hip.
In today's world, especially in the world of business, if you snooze, you lose.
Yep.
You could lose millions of dollars in the blink of an eye if you don't act fast.
Well, things are moving very rapidly, but also you snooze, you lose when you aren't following your own path and you're trying to follow somebody else's.
True. So would you say too that, to be yourself, to be true to yourself, to listen to that inner voice?
100%. That's what I'm encouraging everyone to do, and that's what my purpose is really about. Now, I do want to create and affect large scale change, but I believe that happens one person at a time. So I'm just taking it from my angle to affect whoever I'm here to serve and affect, to get an alignment with the best of themselves, and to enter the real world marketplace, and because we need a paradigm shift here.
How do you figure that?
Well, not everything is, in my estimation, not everything is working at. There's a lot of people who aren't very happy with the way some of the, commerce, the marketplace, the politics, the way things are rolling out right now.
Well, that's life.
That is life. Absolutely, that's life. And life has lots of twists and turns and lots of ups and downs. Sure. And I think the best way to navigate through all of it, because we're all going to have challenges, I have certainly been there, and I will be there again, is to continue to be guided from the inside out, which doesn't mean we don't have help from other people. Absolutely. And it doesn't mean we don't use some brilliant, let's say business model or marketing, but does that work is that in alignment with you? That's always the question. That
is the question. And no matter what you do in life, these challenges that you talk about, other people look at as failures. I myself, whenever I've had a challenge or a failure, I've always looked at it as a lesson to success.
I couldn't agree with you more. And in fact, one of the pillars of the Sacred Wealth Code within my book, it's the fourth pillar, and it's called Your Greatest Challenges, the Unexpected Gateway to Wealth.
And you never know what lies around that corner. And you just have to be prepared to take whatever action is necessary, the action that you believe in, because there's a lot of people out there who try to give you advice, unwanted advice. Let me put it that way. Everybody's a winner. Everybody is a teacher when there's a winning proposition. Everybody's a quarterback and says, I knew that was going to happen when it fails.
Yep, that's absolutely true. But those some of your greatest challenges are where you're going to find the best of yourself. Once you break through them. That's why we can look back and say, "Oh, that was a blessing. That was a blessing." Well, I'm saying, looking at your challenge right now, look at it and say, "I know there's a blessing in there."
That's right.
Embrace it and let's dive in.
I must say, I love your attitude. I love the way you think. And how has your attitude and your successes, as well as your challenges, helped to fine-tune the wealth code?
It has caused me, pulled me, guided me to continue to learn to trust deeper in myself and in the divine. Life itself has presented just great situations for me to continue to hone my craft, so to speak, and to the craft of me, and to step more and more into my gifts. Because here's the thing about your highest value gifts, which are the essence of your sacred wealth code. I believe the universe is expanding all the time. I believe that our choices, our desires, our actions are part of what expand the world we live in. So your sacred wealth code, your highest value gifts, when you start to really use them, and some of us are using them all the time, but if you really are using them, like yourself, the work that you're doing in the world, you continue to discover probably more about yourself, and it takes you different places the more you step into it. And that has been the case for me, that the more I step into the messenger that I am, the more truth and messages come through. It doesn't get boring. It keeps expanding.
That is so true. So how might somebody listening to us tonight, how would they identify if their wealth code is showing up in her or his daily life?
Yeah. So if you are, the things that really light you up, whether you think they're going to make money for you or not, the things that really light you up, really be on alert for that and do more of that, be more of that, dig into more of that. And you don't have to have it figured out beforehand. Okay, so that's number one. Your wealth code will show up in opportunities for you to step into something that might be a little scary, but there's a part of you that knows that this is really a place for you, something for you to do, or an opportunity for you to take. It's the different kind of scared than like that caution kind of fear. It's like, whoa, yeah, I think I really should do this, but it does scare me a little bit. It shows up that way as well. And so opportunities, absolutely, and shows up sometimes not, I don't want to call it fear. I want to call it's really excitement if you really dig into it. But we also do have blocks and barriers. So that's a couple of the ways that it shows up.
What are the three things everyone should know about their very own sacred wealth code?
Well, you should know what your archetypes are. And there is a body of archetypes that each hold a whole set of high value gifts and talents. And the archetypes are a good portion of the book. It's something I give people in a sacred wealth code reading when I actually look at your chart. But my book was written, I wrote it in a way so that anyone could pick it up and go through a process, a self-discovery, and be able to then pick what archetypes are theirs. And archetypes, because it's a universal language, a soul language. So knowing your archetypes is number one. Number two, about your sacred wealth code, you also need to know why you even want the wealth that you want. Super important. You need to know what it is that you want. Because a lot of times we think we want something, but and I take you through a process in my book to discover your wealth dream. And when you really get down to it, it's usually surprising. Like, what is it I really want? And then the third is, why do I want the wealth that I want? Because that why is the purpose behind it. In fact, the equation that is, I think, so important is purpose equals why.
Stand by. We've got to take our news break at the bottom of the hour. Exo Nation, Prema will be with me on the other side of this news break as we continue here in the Exo from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. To learn more about Prema, visit sacredwealthcode.com.
Dreams are our personal gateways into infinite wisdom. Don't miss shamanic counselor and indigenously trained dream decoder Sandra Corcoran's inspiring book, Shamanic Awakening Between the Dark and the Daylight. This remarkable work chronicles Sandra's 35 years of experience with diverse wisdom keepers and her initiations throughout the Americas and across the British Isles, Turkey, Greece, and Egypt. Sandy's knowledge of symbology, psychology, and myth influence her dream blog and workshops. Sandy offers private tarot readings, international journeys, a meditative CD, as well as her book, Shamanic Awakening, to encourage you as you navigate this earth walk, creating a deeper connection to yourself and all that is. Find this and more at Sandy's website, starwalkervisions.com.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
How would you like to be able to read other people's minds? Well, the next best thing is here. When you know how to read a person's name, you know how the person thinks, feels, and behaves. Each letter in our name holds a key to unlock our true essence. Our name contains both our gifts and challenges in this lifetime. Mnemology science discovers personality secrets hidden in the placement of the letters of our names, including the first and last impression people remember about us. Sharon shows us how to interpret the arrangement of letters as outlined in her book, Know the Name, Know the Person. Sharon Lynn Wyeth created mnemology science after 18 years of research and testing her theories, and has supported thousands of people around the world in understanding themselves and others better. You'll enjoy Sharon's unique teachings as she shares her system to learn the gifts behind your given birth name. Even if you don't like your birth name, there are jewels in this book. If you're thinking of changing your name, ready to name your child, or wanting to get along better with others, this is the book for you. If you'd like to improve your relationships and change your life for the better, get the book today, Know the Name, Know the Person, or visit www.knowthename.com. That's www.knowthename.com.
Hello, I'm Justina Marsh, and with my dad Pete, we are going to present a new show called Too Good to Be True. Together, we are aiming to discover more truths about this world and beyond. Do you have unanswered questions about the world? Do you ever wonder about aliens, conspiracy theories, or the universe? There are many shows discussing subjects such as pyramids or UFOs, but we want to relay this information based on our own research, including from spiritual means. Hopefully, listeners will be helped with their own beliefs and will appreciate the psychic insights that add to the previous research and information. We both look forward to sharing this insight and beginning this journey with our listeners. Visit xzbn.net for more information about when to listen.
Prema Lee Gurreri is our special guest, Exonation. And to learn more about Prema, visit sacredwealthcode.com. A person's wealth code is made up of 4 pillars, and they're sacred wealth archetypes. Can you explain the 4 pillars and why they're so important?
Yeah, absolutely. So I just started to touch on those just a moment ago. So the first pillar of wealth is your why. It's the purpose that you even want to have the wealth for. And the reason is, if you imagine that your sacred wealth code is this intersection, like a literal intersection of purpose and prosperity. Well, your purpose, the why you want that wealth, is the vehicle that will get you there. I call it harnessing your soul's big why. Mm-hmm. And so that's the first pillar. In the book, I take you through a process to really understand what that is for you. It's a very interactive kind of a book. And in fact, there's an online portal where I'll lead you through some of the processes in the book. So the second pillar is passion, the essence of fulfillment. Now, fulfillment is a big component in wealth, as far as I'm concerned. It's not just money. It's like you feel fulfilled, satisfied at the end of the day. So with passion, I'm not talking about, follow your passion, and that's a beautiful thing. And if that's, if your purpose is taking you there, great. But sometimes that's pretty ambiguous. Passion is the fuel that gets that vehicle of your purpose to the intersection of purpose and prosperity. So I encourage people to get in touch with their passion, which I go through in the book here, and to incorporate it in ways in your life on a daily basis. So that doesn't mean your work doesn't have to be your actual passion that I'm talking about, although you will become more passionate about the work you're doing in the world if you're in your passion regularly, because that's the zone of your soul. So whether you like skydiving or whether you like dancing or whether you like, playing tennis or having a radio show, whatever your passion is, you have to work it in every day so that you actually have the energy to really follow through on your gifts and your purpose in the world.
But why would somebody do something that they're not passionate about?
People do it all the time.
Why?
Because of cultural programming, because they think they have to, because of fear, because of beliefs. And a lot of it has to do with the beliefs that they have around security and being safe, which usually are laid down long ago and do not really serve them. So someone might stay in a job, for instance, their whole life. Plenty of people have done it. And it doesn't make them happy. In fact, they live for that moment they get, out of work. So work is different than your right vocation, or your purpose or even career. So, people stay because they are afraid, basically, of, or don't feel like they have the resources to try something new.
Does that mean the person doesn't want to advance, or they can't advance, or they're too lazy to advance?
Well, all of those could be in there. We could say that. But the viewpoint I have is that, yes, I'm just tuning in with everything. Yes, there are people. I believe anyone can advance if they want to, but you have to have the desire to, because you're going to have to stretch and grow, and you're going to have to get past yourself. You're going to have to get past your blocks and stuff.
You're going to have to leave your comfort zone.
You're going to have to leave your on a regular basis. And just like you talked about, the challenges, and like failing, like, a friend of mine wrote a book called Failing to Succeed, and that's exactly what it takes. You've got to fail a lot to actually succeed. This is how we learn. And you have to get out of your comfort zone. So you have to get comfortable getting out of your comfort zone, comfortable getting uncomfortable, because then you're on the right track.
All right, so here we are in the year 2017. We are inundated with data from every angle. Smartphones are turning people into stupid people, and you've got the smart cars who are making stupid drivers. How can the sacred wealth code, help us to ground ourselves?
Yeah, because it will, actually. So, well said. To ground yourself into the best of you so that you don't have to numb out and go to sleep because, basically too lazy to be present, one, fears, whatever, gives you hope, gives you, reminds you that you are so much more than you've estimated yourself to be.
Right.
Like, so much more.
What do you think this dumbing down is going to do to the children who are the leaders of tomorrow? If this is the way they're getting dumbed down now by society and by technology.
I agree. I mean, because it's really, really a problem, because looking at that smartphone all the time gives you that hit of dopamine, which it's addictive. It's a whole addictive process. I mean, I'm watching people's cervical curves go away from hanging their heads and looking at their phones, and it's a problem. It's definitely a problem. So I think that it's going to make people go more and more and more asleep. So people have to get woken up and really need to get much more aware. I would like to eventually be bringing this work in at a very young age, like elementary school age, and then a junior high, and then a high school age. When I used to teach yoga, I used to teach all of those levels because I wanted to be. I have kids in their 20s now, but I wanted to be in with the young people and help to influence them to get present and get real about things. Well, they need different influences because it's they're just kind of born into this. So I'd love to see this work at some level. Starting very young with people and helping them to really understand what their gifts are and building support structures around that keep them busy developing themselves and exploring themselves in the world instead of just having the dopamine hit that you get.
Yeah, kids should be taught how to live life. And this is something that's not being taught. And one of the greatest proof of this that I've seen recently is here in our home. When the kids come over, or the grandkids come over, they have to leave their smartphones or their Game Boys or whatever they bring at the door. There's a basket there. That's where it goes. You come here to visit your mommy or dad or your grandfather and grandmother. You don't come here to play. One of the frequent questions we used to get is, what's your Wi-Fi password? No, you don't get it. Sorry. Nope. And, talk, communicate, bond, be a family unit. Gosh, you go to a restaurant these days and you see people, instead of talking, they're texting. Mom and dad are texting, the kids are texting, nobody's talking, they wolf down their food, they're out. It's sad. So what do we do? How can we learn from the wealth code? And how can the wealth code be incorporated into the lives of people, not only in the schools, but in the workplace to help turn things around?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, if we were in a workplace, for instance, okay, and first of all, I love that you do that. And I was lucky my kids weren't completely born into this era, but they were, and I kept them away from it long enough so they've all made really good choices about it, and I'm grateful. But I'm going to have grandkids, and I love the basket at the door idea. So thank you for that.
You're welcome to.
Because you're right. People feel more isolated, studies show, than ever in a world that's supposed to be more connected than ever.
Yeah,
it's isolating actually, and we need to bond. So if we're starting to become connected with our gifts and we start to see that in each other, like you probably naturally do with yourself, with a grandkid or with a child, like we encourage them in that direction. We create environments for them to explore, the best of themselves. And if we're all doing that with each other and bonding in those ways through our gifts, because a lot of the way people bond is actually through their trauma, which is okay, but let's start bonding through our gifts. Let's create, like when my kids were young, I had, the art supplies were out, that whatever they were interested in, they were just there so they could explore and
exactly.
And so we lose that, and we need that. And of course, remember that traditional school, the way we know it in most places in the Western world, was created so it would mold people to be able to sit and work in factories. And that isn't really serving So, and at the same time, that's this whole, everything on technology is serving us to be isolated. So we have to get back in contact and bond with each other. We have to support each other in our brilliance and our gifts and explore that together.
That is so true. That is so true. There has to be a shift. There has to be a change, because the way that we're going now, as I see it, is we're in for a whole big can of whoop ass.
I hear you. And, one of the things that is sort of a natural energetic thing that'll happen that will always throw people together, and it's sad if we have to go here, but is any kind of big catastrophe. So when we had 9/11 happen in the United States, that people who would have never bonded helped and bonded, and lifelong relationships, and people got in and did things they didn't even know that they could do because their superpowers came out during that time. Well, there's our first chakra energy is this tribal energy, and a tragedy will bring the tribe together, but we don't have to do it that way. We can also, connect through our brilliance too.
How can one be introduced to their sacred wealth archetype?
So in the book, there is a whole section of the book around the archetypes, and as you work through it's a playbook, a guide, a workbook, and I ask you some really deep, revealing questions. And once you get through the 4 pillars, and it's all very fun and light. I mean, it's deep work, but it's not like, I got to trudge through this manual. It's like it pulls you forward, and that's what I've been getting from people. It pulls you forward, and and I teach retreats on this, and I have programs built on this. But when it comes to the archetypes, you are simply looking through the archetypes to let them really choose you. Now, if you just flip through the archetypes, you might choose something that you're good at, but isn't really your brilliance. So going through the process is useful. But on the other hand, if all you can do is pick up my book and open it to one of the archetype pages and start reading and see if you have a high value gift there, I'm happy. You can also go to sacredwealthcode.com, and I have a free archetype quiz there that I built where you can take, like a 3 or 4 minute quiz and find out one of your archetypes and get some training about it as well. So that's why I even wrote the book, was to create a simple way. I actually have a set of oracle cards built on the Sacred Wealth Code archetypes that'll be out in a couple of months. And then there's always, coming in for a Sacred Wealth Code reading is another way for me to that's the laser way for me to give you exactly what your Sacred Wealth Code archetypes are, and some training on how to activate them, find out which are your superpowers, and to use them.
All right, stand by. We've got to take our final break for this segment. X-Zone Nation, sacredwealthcode.com is the place where you can learn more about Prema. And Prema and I will be back on the other side of this break as we wrap up this hour here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. My name is Rob McConnell. Don't go away.
Are you curious? Do you want to learn more about how the world works and have fun at the same time? Study coincidences with me, Dr. Bernie Beitman, MD, on my Connecting with Coincidence radio show here on the XZBN network. Listen to Jungians theorize, statisticians randomize, true believers evangelize, while I categorize. I dance to the rhythm of coincidences. People who experience me see more of them. Maybe something on the show matches a thought in your mind. Let us know. Expand your mind to the weirdness happening around you. Synchronicity spoken here, there, and everywhere. For more information, put Connecting with Coincidence in your search engine and find my website, my social media sites, and my blog.
This is the X Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
True healing must address 4 levels: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, for us to live joyful and productive lives. We tend to treat 3 of the 4, leaving the spiritual languishing. If you're tired of the same dysfunctional patterns cropping up in your life, Soul Balancing is for you. Trixie Phelps, owner and founder of Soul Balancing, is a naturally gifted energy healer trained in numerous esoteric forms, including shamanism. Trixie has created a powerful modality that safely and effectively clears your energetic field. A Soul Balancing session can remove interference, heal trauma, and restore your hope. Contact Trixie for a life-changing long-distance session today, www.soulbalancing.world. There's a legend shared by many indigenous cultures of a time when the nations were cast to the 4 corners of the world. Each nation was given a body of sacred knowledge that held a different portion of the truth to preserve. True reality could not be known until all the nations reunited, combining the information. If a single one was missing, the world could not be reborn and darkness would prevail. The Science of Magic Radio is dedicated to reuniting the sacred knowledge. With the understanding, none of us has all the answers, but together we can open new perceptions and possibilities. Through our combined vision, the world can be reborn into a place where darkness no longer prevails. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, and the Science of Magic daily on the X Zone Broadcast Network, xzbn.net, or visit us at thescienceofmagic.net.
www.sacredwealthcode.com is how you can find out more about our guest this hour, Prema Lee Gurreri. And once someone identifies their archetypes, how can they work with them, and what will they learn when they do?
So, in the book, I give a whole section about how to work with your archetypes. And first, I just kind of guide you to meet them as if I like to call them your sacred wealth council. So you can imagine that these archetypes are representing parts of yourself. And you could think of them as guides. I like to think of them as guides who, have like superpower belts on, and they have certain superpowers that I can draw on at any time. I actually hold a council meeting with mine on a regular basis. On a weekly basis, I counsel with them all, and I run projects and stuff by them. And I have some actual, it's in the book too as well, some what I call tapping in questions, a way to access that divine guidance coming through your sacred wealth code archetypes. So you want to start to get to know them I have lots of different practices that are real simple in the book, like just read the definition every day. Do the tapping in questions so you start to understand what that voice actually sounds like. Maybe you want to do a piece of artwork. Maybe you want to dress like that particular archetype. But the biggest thing that I encourage you to do right off the bat is to really identify, out of all of the gifts that an archetype might have, which are yours. And I always put for instance, the leader archetype has a list of about 10 different gifts that I just channeled through that a leader has in my definition of what a leader is when it's found at the intersection of purpose and prosperity. And then you might have other things that I haven't thought of. And I actually want you to give you a process to check in and find out what else, as a leader, what are your qualities? And it's fine if they're on the list I give you. And then I encourage you to just pick the top 3, like really tune in and what are the top 3 gifts so that you can start to hone those gifts, those superpowers, and take them out for a spin in maybe ways that you haven't thought of before.
What is the biggest success story you have for someone working with their sacred wealth code?
Okay, lots of success stories. So let me just talk about, so I will talk about Suzanne. So Suzanne was a lawyer, and she had just been lawyer, give up the big business, turn life coach when I met her. And so she was life coaching, and she just was calling herself a catalyst coach. And she's, whip smart and was working with just different kinds of people. So she came to work with me, and as we honed in on her archetypes and really realized not only did she have an honorable warrior who, liked to take a stand for people, she was a little stuck on the shadow side of the honorable warrior, which she was doing too much rescuing. So she wasn't working with people who could actually pay her very much. We also found out that she's incredibly intuitive through her connector, but she really was more that strong woman and didn't really tap into that feminine side as much. Well, she did through the work that we did. And she found that really who she is a coach for what she calls alpha women and strong women, because she also finds that they really have struggled within relationship. Well, she was a divorce attorney before. She never thought she thought she fully stepped out of that. But as we recircled around where is her brilliance, that's what she found that she is such an expert at, is helping really those strong, successful women have it all, including relationships. So her embracing that means that she has turned her business into a very lucrative business. People know exactly what she's known for. She's speaking. She's charging a lot of money for her services and has a couple of different programs. And she's an awesome lady and a happy camper.
So help me understand how the archetypes helped her achieve this.
Yeah. So one of the big things that happened when she realized she was an honorable warrior, really gets in there and takes a stand for someone, can brave the way, is a good leader. She realized that she was in the shadow side. Each archetype has a shadow side, and I actually really spell that out because a lot of people are stuck in the shadow side of things. I know I was when I actually discovered this work. And so with that, she realized she was trying to rescue too many people. And so she was trying to, save the world through people who were really not going to take many steps for themselves. And so when we cleared the patterns and released those beliefs that kept her in that rescuer mode, she was able to step more fully into the honorable warrior that she is. Her connector was a little afraid of fully connecting, was kind of hidden away from just some old hurts and past traumas. And so she didn't really realize that she was intuitive as she was. So as I taught her some practices to get connected with her connector and let her intuition start to come through, she started to just have the experience of that coming through in working with clients or the next direction she wanted to take her business, for instance. So she started to consult with her sacred wealth code archetypes. And after you do this for a while, it's really great because it happens not so formally. like there is this, this best part of you who really knows how to, like for her, the connecting her with her intuition. She didn't have to stop and doesn't have to stop all the time and think about it, which she does at times. But it was like honing a skill that had always been in her, but she didn't know how to use anymore.
How much of this is the placebo effect?
I don't think it is. And I don't think my clients do think it is. So again, but I'm, this is my belief system. And I really believe that the Sacred Wealth Code system helps you to connect with really what your gifts are. And from everybody who's picking up the book and getting back to me and giving me feedback, and from all the clients I've been working with for years, they are saying this is changing their paradigm around wealth and what they thought was possible for themselves, and really showing them that where they are stuck. And because they know something's on the other side of the stuckness, they're willing to do the work it takes to break through.
So would you say that this Secret Wealth Code is a self-help modality?
Absolutely. We could say it's a self-help modality. I would like to call it more of a self-awareness modality. And so, yes, absolutely. It's a self-help. You have to get in and do the work for it to work.
Well, that's like everything else in life. And I think that a lot of people in today's society expect everything to come to them for nothing.
That is again, the problem is, we're just not wired up that way. We wouldn't be given minds and hearts and physical bodies. And if we were just supposed to have it all come for nothing. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't beautiful synchronicities that happen.
Oh, I agree. I agree with that.
They do. But, and I have to be honest, when you're really on purpose, when you're doing your thing, I mean, sometimes I'll work really long hours, but it is so much different because I'm inspired about what I'm doing, and it has meaning than just slogging through something I have no, I'm just only doing for money. That's the killer right there. If you're, anyone listening, and if you're doing something and the reason why you're doing it is for the money, you are not connected to your wealth code, and you are not connected to wealth.
Can these people be turned around, and how long does it take?
Yes. It doesn't have to take very long at all. Seriously, it doesn't have to take very long at all. It can. Some people, it's embracing one gift, shifting their awareness around, and within having a reading or reading the book, life starts to change. So it doesn't have to take very long at all. It's like it's like a parallel universe. You're going along, and I didn't mean to open that can of worms, but you're going along, and because you shift your belief system and the filters you're looking at the world through, the world responds you see a different world available to you.
It seems rather simple.
There's a lot of things that are really, like, all of this in a way is very simple. And when I say all of this, I mean, we could boil it all down to wow, wake up and get present.
Right.
A lot of it is very, very simple, but it's not easy to do for a lot of the reasons, that we talked about today and you brought up, what's coming at you, or the family you came from, or the circumstances you were born in, and not being able to get past what you're seeing in front of your eyes. You've got to listen and tune in with what's behind your eyes too.
Exactly. And I think that in order to be successful or to attain either the wealth, the job, the house, the family that you truly desire, you have to work for it. It's not going to come to you because you've got all these pictures plastered on your fridge that you look at every night or every morning and say, I wish, I wish, I wish.
Well, that's a very different stance to take than with everything in my book and in all the work that I do, whether it's a meditation or whatever. Where we come to every time is, what's one inspired action I can take to make this happen, to do this, to be this. And you have to go integrate from soul all the way down to the soles of your feet, and you've got to take that action for something to happen. I just happen to take the stance of, let's tune in and find out what's the action that's unique for me to take. What does wealth even mean to me? I don't have to have a big house on the hill. Actually, no, I just need this over here. It's really unique, and find out what it is for you.
Prema, I want to thank you so much for joining us. Great talking to you. I wish you continued success. And Exonation, if you would like to get more information from our guest or about our guest tonight, www.sacredwealthcode.com. That's www.sacredwealthcode.com. I'll be back on the other side of this news break at 6.5 minutes past the top of the hour as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.